This episode is sponsored by Squarespace. This is my 1948 Indian Chief. Actually, it was my 1948 Indian Chief, and then I sold it to a buddy. Let's go see what he has to say about it. He actually knows this bike better than I do. If you guys remember, I bought this thing. It had a goofy looking saddle seat. It was like a saddle seat for a child, for a pony. It was awful. And I rode this thing home from central Pennsylvania to eastern Pennsylvania, and it was sub-zero. It's like 12 degrees. It was an awful ride. And then I don't think I did anything ever with it since. Now, we did find out it was a matching numbers bike, and we had it running pretty good. But then when I sold it to my buddy, he kind of dialed it in. It's better with him. He's got it running really well, easy to start, and he's gonna put much more use to it than what I was going to, or what I did. What's up, Billy?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
How are you?
The bike looks great. You did some cool stuff to it. First, tell me what you like about the bike. What did you not like about the bike? And then let's talk about what you changed on it.
I didn't like all the frills and the leather stuff and
the shoehorn and the goofy hokey stuff.
It's just stuff that seems like it's gonna fall off and hit somebody that's behind you while you're riding. You know?
Right.
But then what I liked about it is it's got the look and it's got it's matching numbers. You know, they have matching numbers, frame and engine.
I was aware of that. Unlike Harley Davidson, Indians in the late 40s had a number on the frame and a number on the engine.
Right.
Where Harley's just had the number on the engine.
Engine.
There was no matching numbers, anything.
Right.
It's just all the numbers on the engine. So that's what kind of made that's one thing that made the Indians a little special.
Yeah. You know, with a little bit of love, it started right up and ran real good. You know, it's still leaking a little bit of gas out of the carburetor. I got to fix that. I changed the seat. The seat was the first thing
that's why I never rode it. Now you went with that seat and not a pogo seat. Is that just for looks?
It's looks.
You wanted the looks back. It looks awesome.
Yeah, if you stand back, I mean, the lines of these bikes, these Chiefs they're so flowing.
Yeah. And
they're so low. I mean, I think they have better lines than a Harley Davidson does, and I love a Harley Davidson, but
no, because it's got the big fenders. I kind of go with those lines. You made it look really nice.
You know, like the pipe was turned up, but it should run in like this.
Yeah.
So they had welded the mount on, so I cut the mount off and re-welded one on and turned it. You know, that makes a big difference in the line, but the lines are great, and the seat was a big part of that. Now
these are not tin. Fiberglass. These are fiberglass?
Yeah,
right? Or
they're fiberglass fenders. And that's what I bought it for a customer, and he was upset about that more than anything else. He was really upset that it had fiberglass fenders. I didn't know it when I bought it. I think he blew it out of proportion because it's still a really good bike.
Yeah, I mean, fenders aren't that big of a deal.
No. I have a box of steel fenders for it right there. I'm going to put steel fenders on it.
Oh, cool.
And they're Scout tanks.
Yep.
And the mounts on the bottom don't line up. You know, you can't, they're only bolted by 2 bolts instead of 3. But they still have a killer look, but I bought a set of 48 Chief tanks for it too. I'm gonna change the tanks, I'm gonna paint the tanks and fenders.
Now this is the original, this is for the Scout, or this is for a Chief, the gauge cluster?
This is for Chief, but it's not for this bike. This bike should have like a diamond shape.
Okay.
That's why the gauge is popped up.
Okay. So this gauge is for the bike,
right.
It's just not that dash.
Right, because remember, it didn't have a speedometer in it. It had a Harley Davidson switch.
Yeah.
It didn't have an ammeter. So I happened to have the ammeter. I bought the speedometer. And I just put it in this dash just to fill the hole, you know what I mean? And I put the Indian Chief switch on it.
Now, tell me something about that speedometer. Is that original? And also, I mean, can this bike do anywhere close to 120?
It would go 120 if you dropped it out of an airplane.
Yeah.
That was going 120.
Right.
This thing's probably good for 80, 90 miles an hour.
Really? That's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Pretty quick for these old bikes.
These things, I think they make like 54 horsepower, which is more than a knucklehead makes. An overhead valve.
That's a lot of power.
Indian's a 42-degree twin, a Harley's a 45-degree twin. That has a lot to do with it. Plus, everything inside the engine's like way lighter. Harley Davidson stuff's really heavy and over-engineered, and so it takes more work to spin it. So these will run with a knucklehead.
Wow.
You know, like Indian never made an overhead valve production bike. They made flatheads until they went out of business.
Oh, really?
Through 1953. And Harley Davidson switched to overhead valve in 1936.
When did the first Indian go out of business?
1953.
1953.
They were still making the vertical Scouts and stuff.
Okay.
But those wasn't really Indian. That was like it is now. It's like another company using their name.
Right.
But in 53 is when they quit making bikes. And 48, which is what this is a low production year because in 48 is when the British introduced all the British bikes. And Indian was already struggling. The Brits devalued the pound on purpose to make those bikes affordable in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
And it really hurt the American bike market. So 48 was a low production year for Indian. So there's not a whole lot of them.
So I noticed a couple things you modified, changes you made to the bike. You got new floorboards.
I don't know if you remember, but the one on the left side was the rubber was all gone because the gasoline driven out of the carburetor always lands on that board.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So the rubber was almost all gone on that one, so I put these on it. I took the big round air carb cover off of it and put a little teardrop Indian cover on it.
I saw that. That looks really cool.
Yeah.
Is this an original?
It's replica, but
replica?
they use those on Scouts. That would come on a Scout, but it looks good on there, you know.
It's really sharp looking, yeah.
And then I changed the shift knob. You know,
What was it before? It's like a skull?
It has some kind of big round Indian head. It was like the size of a softball, man.
Yeah,
I think it was so big.
It was ginormous. Now, this shifting pattern is not actually how the bike came.
Right.
Like that would have been up.
Yeah. So they came left and right hand shift.
And they also came left and right hand throttle.
Yeah.
This is more like a Harley Davidson was.
Yeah.
Or more standard.
So this shifter is a right hand side shifter. So if this came with this bike, it would shift on this side. Somebody converted it to be like you call it a jockey shift, I guess.
Right.
But I have the right shifter for it. I was going to put it back up on the left side, and there's a rod that goes on this side to shift it.
It's kind of weird to have the shifter on the right side.
Yeah.
Taking your hand off the throttle, shifting it, and then putting it back on.
I've ridden them that way, and it's really awkward. It doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense, especially because it's 3-speed, right? You got to rev it a lot higher RPM before you shift gears, especially if you're going up a hill, because if you don't rev high enough or you shift too soon, it'll start.
First gear's got to take you to like 25, and the next gear's got to take you.
But I'll tell you what, like it starts great, it runs good, it shifts really nice. It's got great like rumble through the muffler. You know, the front end's wore out, but it makes it ride super smooth, and it's got the look. I mean, you know, you can't deny how good looking it is.
It's very cool. What changes are you gonna do to it? You gonna keep the tanks or put new tanks on it?
Now I got the Chief. You want me to grab those tanks I have?
That'd be cool. I'd love to see them.
Yeah, I haven't even opened them yet. I bought them and I didn't even open the things.
You ever tried building your own website? It's hard. If you're not a coder, it's almost impossible to build a website. That's why Squarespace makes it super easy. They've got this thing called Design Intelligence. It's an AI-powered tool that guides you into designing a very clean, nice looking website. Also, they have templates. So you're not just starting from scratch and figuring out where to put stuff. They already have a clean looking thing. So you're like, oh, that's what I like, or that's what I like. And now you get to start from something and then drag and drop and place the stuff that you want inside of it. They also have spots that you can put your own logo, and you put your own colors and your themes, so it fits your company's brand. It also works on mobile right away, because most people, let's be honest, most people are not shopping on the computer. They're actually buying stuff and shopping on their phone. Let's talk about payments. You want to get paid. You're making a website to probably make some more money or get paid. That's why they have Squarespace payments. It's easy to put it in there, it's easy to set it up, and then your customers can pay you in many different ways, and it goes right to your bank account. So if you have that idea, or you already have a company, and you're like, our website's not that good, and all these web designers are saying like, some ridiculous amount of money to build your website, build your own website, use Squarespace. So head to squarespace.com for a free trial. So you can build the website, and then when you're in a launch, go to squarespace.com/Srkcycles. Save 10% off your first purchase of a website or the domain. Check out Squarespace. Let's get back to this bike. So Billy, I know a lot of people are wondering, what are you up to these days? I know you're in the process of moving.
They need more space, so I bought this racetrack out just a little bit west of here that we've been racing at for the last 4 or 5 years. I bought the track and built a building on it for my shop.
And I don't know if people know this, but you do a lot of dirt racing.
Oh yeah, we do vintage racing.
You do a lot of vintage racing.
You know, Harleys and Indians from 1910 to 1950. So the shop is basically done. I'm just waiting for them to hook the electricity up, and I can, be out there working. We're gonna have races out there in June. We have American Flat Track, all the national pro racers coming out. I mean,
that's gonna be awesome.
And Harley Davidson's back in Flat Track now, which is really cool. And I know they have a bunch of Indians out there that they're racing. Have my own place. I want to do car shows, vintage car stuff out there, because I started as a car guy.
Yeah.
And then, eventually with all the extra land, build up where people can come do like dirt riding, trail riding. Families can come out and spend the weekend.
That's super cool. And if people want to follow you and see what's going on, they just keep it on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, my YouTube is the best place, or like billylane.net, or my Instagram. Yeah.
Let's see what we got.
Yeah, so these are, like I said, a nice 48 Chief tanks that I bought. Whether they should be nice, I paid for nice. This might be original paint, man. I didn't even know. It looks like it might be. But that's a 48 Indian script.
Yeah, so the top one's oil, bottom one's fuel, and then the other side's all fuel.
They call that a 710 cap because if you turn it upside down, it says 710 instead of oil. No, they were blue before, so that's before they were red, so that's not original paint. But they're, you know, super solid and clean.
Original petcock?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was going to paint these and paint those fenders that are in that box. And I thought about like doing like crazy hot rod flames. Mm-hmm. Indian cheap people will freak out.
Yeah.
You know, the purists.
The Indian people like a clean looking bike.
Yep.
They're cool if the bike looks perfect.
Yep.
Where Harley guys right now, the trend is they want it to look original.
Like you roll out of the barn, yeah.
Like you roll it out of the barn.
Yeah.
Why do you think that? Why is there a difference with that?
Indians and Harley Davidsons are like cats and dogs, and owners are like cat owners and dog owners. And they're just completely different. Because I really grew up as a Harley Davidson guy. Mm-hmm. I had probably the best 37 Indian Chief there is. Original paint, original everything. If you Google 37 Indian Chief, my bike comes up all the time. That bike is so original, it's unreal. And then I had one of Steve McQueen's Chiefs, a 46 Chief bobber that he had. And then I had a 1945 Chief that I rode every day for 4 or 5 years. It was an outstanding motorcycle. And I only sold it to be able to afford to move up here to buy a house and everything. And so I haven't had one since this one.
Oh, wow.
So I'm pretty excited, and I've been riding it, and I was like, I probably shouldn't ride it because I'll fall in love.
Yeah.
And then now I've been riding it, and I fell in love.
You fell in love.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But like I was like, I'll just leave it the way it is, and then I'm like, well, I should get the right tanks on it, and I should put some steel fenders on it, and I think once I paint them and do that, I'll probably keep it.
Yeah. No, I can't wait to see when it's all done.
Yeah.
Now, it already is going to start easier because it was converted to electronic ignition.
Yeah, it has electronic ignition instead of points.
Now, in terms of value, people like that or don't like that? I guess it depends on what they want to do with it.
I guess I didn't even know they made electronic ignition for these. I went to start it and I went to check the points and I found out that it has electronic ignition in there.
Oh, really?
So, I mean, it's real simple to see, they're such a different design, but like you just pull these clips off and it would normally be points and a condenser in there. And instead you have a little electronic pickup. Like it has the goofy plug wires on it. I was gonna buy some nice cloth wires for it.
And then it was also converted from 6 volt to 12 volt?
6 volt to 12 volt. They put a little alternator on it from some kind of import car, but they work,
Yeah, right, because here's the plug for something else on it.
And then there's a little belt drive here that drives them, a little V-belt. There was a key that goes in, and the key was sheared, and it wasn't spinning it, so it hadn't been charging. So if you rode it 5 miles, you'd have to push it 5 miles back.
So this pulley was never there before?
No, the pulley was there, but there's a key that spins the pulley. So like when I roll it over, the belt wasn't moving.
Okay.
Like when I first got it from you, the belt wouldn't move.
But originally there was not an alternator right here.
There's a generator.
There's a generator. Okay, so this is where the alternator is where the generator was.
Yeah, there'd be a 6 volt generator there.
So that pulley was always there. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
But what about this bolt? The bracket right here. This is just for the new alternator.
Yeah, somebody just made that. I was going to clean that up or put a generator back in it. Now you can make a 12 volt generator conversion.
Oh, okay.
These bikes are like worth $20,000 to $25,000, really nice, and it's really easy to put that much into it. And then you're.
Yeah, Jay Leno always said if you're restoring bikes and making money, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
If you're doing it right,
there's no money to be made.
It's expensive. Now this is like the Harleys. It's a toe to go.
No, it's different. It's toe is it's like a car. You push the toe in, and it's like driving a car. Indian had it so you could go from your car to your motorcycle and not feel weird about it.
Which makes more sense.
Yeah.
Today's video is not sponsored by FedEx, although that would be very convenient.
Yeah, that's it.
Brings
Thank
us
you.
to our actual sponsor, Squarespace. Start it.
So, turn the gas on, and then I always, with a linker, full choke, right, because it's cold.
Yep.
And I open the throttle, and just give it like 1 or 2 kicks.
Primer kicks.
Yeah, with the key off, right? And then I always close the choke all the way, and then put it back 1 click open, and turn the key on.
Sounds good.
It sounds really good. It needs a valve adjustment. You can hear it ticking.
Yeah.
I got to do that, but they're sitting idle, And then it's great because now that it's run and it's not even warming, I can still touch the head with my hand. But now you just go back and kick and.
Wow. That's awesome.
Every time, it should do it every time.
Now the gears are That's obviously in neutral.
Yeah, it's in neutral.
So you down will be first.
Down's one, yeah.
And then up through neutral,
Yeah.
and then third.
And you got to feel it. You know, that's what's cool about them is you got to feel those gears. It's really a rider's bike.
Yeah.
You got to, you know, there's no gate to tell you. Even when the shifter's up here, there's nothing to really tell you where the gear is. You just have to
You got to know where
push it and feel it. And there's
know where the RPMs are at, know what gear you could possibly be in.
Yeah. But once you get used to riding one, that's why it's so different than a Harley Davidson. The brakes are different. Brakes are better. The front ends are really soft and smooth. The rear, you know, those shocks, I think they're just for looks.
Yeah.
You know, it seems, I mean, they work.
A little bit.
But you know, you don't feel like you have shocks back there. I considered turning this into a full bobber because of the fenders, because my Steve McQueen bike was a bobber and everybody loved it, but
You got to take away the Indian aspect.
it does, and they just look so good like this. I mean, this is like what a classic, you know, classic motorcycle lines. I mean, that 1930s, 40s Art Deco styling. You know, I mean, it's so good. They really got it right. I mean, you know, Harley Davidson has a bulbous tank, and these are long and sleek.
Yeah.
You know, and more flat, harder edges, and then the fenders are completely different. And
Well,
the handlebar bend is entirely different from a Harley Davidson. You know.
Well, Billy, I appreciate you talking to us. I know you're
Yeah.
busy. You're moving. You care if I take this thing for a spin?
Man, you may not bring it back, but
I might not bring it back. You know where I work, so
yeah,
it'll be
don't
all right.
sweat it. Yeah.
Thank you, Billy.
Hey, enjoy the ride. I'll be here in my throne waiting for you.
Yeah. All right, guys. Before we go riding, let's do the words of wisdom. Let's do all the Bible verse we always do. Matthew 6:3. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. All right, let's ride this thing. Let's see if I can start this thing. It's been a minute or two since we started it last. Kickstart. All right, that's all good. Man, Billy's got this thing running real good. So I forgot about this, but I like the way the Indian shifter is better because it's just like a car. You push down to disengage the clutch, and then it's got a spring, and it springs back itself. That's simple. And actually, from what Billy said, that's how they made it. They made it to be more like a car. As you get out of your car, you ride your bike. That makes sense to me. The Harley is, I got to think about it a little bit more. So when you see a guy riding his motorcycle with one hand, you instantly think like, oh, look at this guy getting all lazy and doing whatever he wants to do and stuff like that. That's not really what's going on. Maybe that's how his bike is. All right. So unlike a modern motorcycle, when you go from first to second, it just goes right through it. You can feel neutral on this bike. So you go first and you feel neutral, and then you go right to second. So it's hard to miss. It's hard to miss a shift unless you overshift it. Then it's pretty easy. Oh man, this thing never ran this good. No, it ran this good at one point, but man, this feels great. The way you feel a motorcycle, if you have a bad seat on a motorcycle, it kind of ruins the way the bike feels. I had the most awful seat on this motorcycle, and I kind of hated riding it. And then I sell it to Billy. He puts his seat on here, and it changes the whole way this thing runs. I forgot how much I like this bike. Man, this thing runs good. So at 54 or 56 horsepower, all right, what are we doing? The bike idles perfect. Man, this is a fun riding bike. The cool thing about a bike like this, you might see some guys riding old Harleys. You really don't see guys riding old Indians. That just doesn't seem to happen. They're out there, but man, you rarely ever see them. So if you want to show up someplace with the only bike It's really hard to beat this. Now, I like to think I've got a pretty good reach, but you can see I'm really reaching to get that shifter back there. Like, first gear is kind of a stretch. Oh yeah! I found a false neutral back there, but we're good. We're back in business. Such a so we're cruising. We're going 45. I'm in third gear. This bike feels great. I could probably be in second gear, but it'd be at the top end of second gear. But cruising at 45 feels awesome. Even though there's not much suspension, I mean, you can see the front end's doing its job. We're hitting mild bumps. Even though the pogo seat is eliminated, it's not that awful. I mean, I would take this. This is like a cream puff. This is an ultra limited over driving an Orange County chopper. All right, I'm done shifting for now. So like a normal bike, no, okay, not like a normal bike. This right here is not a clutch. That's your front brake. So other than your rear brake, which is important, that's the same. That's on your right foot. And then your throttle, everything else is different. So a little bit of a learning curve. I've done this enough that I can pick up on it pretty quick. But I remember the first time, I mean, it took me a little while to figure it out. I actually learned on a closed course track on how to ride a foot clutch. But it would have been easier if I'd learned how to ride on an Indian. But then you go back and forth from a Harley to an Indian, a little thought process kind of has to happen. But in the day, this was a bad bike. I mean, over 50 horsepower, it's pretty stout. Another thing you need to consider when you're riding an old bike like this, chances are the tires are pretty old too. You're not throwing it in any corners. You also got to watch out because the braking's not going to be that great. It's not awful, trust me, I've ridden worse, but it ain't that great. Man, this is a really enjoyable bike. I really like that. The jockey shift is pretty fun. So when you're using the foot clutch, you just got to remember that that foot's on that side for a reason, so you got to lean on the other side. This is pretty fast too. I don't remember what year, but I feel like it was something around this year of the motorcycle that Burt Monroe heavily modified to do his top speed run. If you guys have not seen that movie, The World's Fastest Indian, it is the best motorcycle movie Hollywood's ever made, except for obviously Biker Boys and that Vanilla Ice movie. It wasn't completely a motorcycle movie. You jump on an old bike like this, and your initial thought is, oh, it's a little more work, it's a little more of stuff I got to deal with. That looks kind of like a pain. But then once you ride it, it's a little bit of a learning curve. Figure out how to keep it maintained. they're actually not that bad. But the benefit you get out of riding one of these things, oh man, this is a blast. Now I'm wishing I never sold it. Depending on who you talk to, some of the guys they run a lead additive. So these motorcycles, when they were built, the gas was all leaded. If you ever look at a, I don't know if they still do it in modern day cars, but you know, cars used to say unleaded gas only because at one point in time, gas had lead in them, and what that lead was supposed to do was it kind of softened. Well, you know what? I don't actually know what the lead did, but I know that these motorcycles were made for it. So some people will do they'll do a lead additive in these bikes, but then you talk to guys that actually ride these things all the time, and they're just like, nah, if you're gonna run it, put pump gas in it, and you'll be fine. Now, where riding motorcycles like this, I think it does get a little bit sketchy. My muscle memory is set up in a way that I can react very, very, very fast in an oh shoot situation on the highway. I'll outbrake on a normal motorcycle, and especially a sport bike. I will outstop most cars on the road, and that's kind of the secret weapon. I can outstop, I can outmaneuver most cars. But riding something like this, not only the fact that the stopping ability is lacking, but my ability to make that decision and react to it is going to be off. Like, my muscle memory is to grab this because that's the clutch, grab the rear brake, and grab the front clutch, or grab the front brake, and that's I'm not going to react in the right way. So I kind of just keep my distance. You know, I'm going to leave significantly more space with me and the vehicle in front of me. The other thing is, and you guys don't see it, but I have to I don't know why this is, but all these old bikes are this way, but for me to brake with my rear, I got to use my whole leg. I got to put my whole leg up. I can't just, the foot pedal's so far up, I can't just do it like a normal motorcycle. Maybe because I have no mobility in my ankle. It's always something I thought was weird. Actually, a lot of Harley Davidsons are like that too. I have the same complaint about my Road King. Hey guys, riding this bike, kind of wrapping up the story with a nice test drive of this thing. I started this bike on a long drive, and it was awful. It was an awful drive. It was so cold. The bike ran well, but then wrapping it up with riding this bike right now on a beautiful day, running really well. It's a kind of a great full circle moment for me. Guys, that wraps it up. Remember, it is not what you're riding, but where you're going. We'll see you guys next time. Let's roll out. Aha.